Hey everyone, what's going on and welcome back to today's video. I'm super excited to bring you this one on the top 10 killer perks. We're going to go over 10 really insane perks in my opinion that are in no particular order, and then 2 which I think are a bit overrated and why that is. So let's jump into our first killer perk. Enduring. So Enduring is a really good perk for me because I like to go for a lot of mind games and swing through pallets while facing the other way, moonwalking and such. And this is basically just going to be a backup for when that doesn't work. So it's going to save you 50% of the time you're going to spend in stuns. And if you go for it, who knows, 5 times a game and it doesn't work those 5 times, then that's half of those 5 stuns that you're going to save time on. Overall, it just gives you the ability to just play super cocky. Once they figure it out, it's a little bit worse, but in my opinion, that is why it is definitely super strong. Next up, we have Discordance. Now, I love this perk. It's basically a map-wide info perk that's going to tell you when more than one person is on a gen. Now, this is great for killers who move around the map quickly. Spirit is really good with. Nurse is really good with. Blight is really good with. Any stealth killers are good with. Wraith, Oniro, anything like that. It's good with basically everyone. It's free info and it stops them from gen rushing things with perks like Prove Thyself, which is really heavy in the meta right now, especially for earning those blood points as well. So yeah, definitely pick this perk up. It's from Legion, and I think it's one of the best perks in the game, 100%. Next up, we have Eruption, which is just come into the meta recently, in my opinion, and I think it's really good. I've used it since the update, and I get a lot of value out of it. So once you kick a gen, that is part of the Eruption now, and then when you put someone into the dying state on the floor, whatever you want to call it, it's going to apply a 10% penalty. So it's basically like a situational jolt, but then it's also going to incapacitate them for 25 seconds. Now this means they can't do anything for 25 seconds. That means it's stalling 10% progression penalty and the next 25 seconds. So in my opinion, it's a really good perk. You compare this with some other good perks as well, and it works out really well in the long run. Next up, we have Jolt. So Jolt is really good right now. Basically all it does is pretty simple. When you put a survivor into the dying state with a basic attack, all generators within 32 meters, which is quite a nice range, are going to explode and start regressing by 8%. Immediately progress by 8%, I should say. So it's going to give you a bit of info as well, if you can hear them around you, and also just scare people off those gens. That's what you're really hoping to do. It will slow them down if they continue, but it will, 50% of the time it will scare them off those gens. I've tried it and it does scare people off. So for that reason, it's a great perk. Next up, we have Lethal Pursuer. This one is not good for all people. I'd say for slower people like Trapper, Hag, things like that, you don't really want to use it because you want to set up on those and you don't really want to go for things off the bat, in my opinion. But for other people like Nurse, Huntress, Blight, Spirit, for all those ones, it's really good to get that info of what gens they're working on, where they all spawned in the map, and where they could go from where they spawned. So it's just going to give you a heap of info, and with the new buff, it's going to extend all other Survivor Aura perks by 2 seconds. So Barbecue Chili, Darkness Revealed, anything like that, it's going to give them a buffed effect for the rest of the game, and I think it has a lot of value. So this one's for Nemesis, and so is Eruption. So maybe if you haven't got him yet and you're looking for some good perks, this guy could be the one for you. Next up, we have Corrupt Intervention. Now, when I saw the nerf, I was like, oh, this perk's ruined. But in my opinion, it's actually still really strong, especially for killers who need something to happen. Like, again, Trapper, Hag, Pig, any of those killers, you're really going to want to utilize Corrupt Intervention if you want to win those games, in my opinion. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to give you 120 seconds where you know exactly the area they're going to go to do the gens, and that's just going to let you get a down before anything happens in the game if you know what you're doing. So you're going to zone them into one nice area, and you're going to hopefully either just block them from doing anything for 2 minutes, which is quite nice, and then in those 2 minutes you might get some added value like a few free hits, a down, a hook, anything like that. Just gives you a good amount of time at the start of each game to set up, get ready, and get some free value as well. So that is why Corrupt Intervention is a great perk. Next up, we have Deadlock. You can't go wrong with this perk on anyone. It's free, and when a generator gets completed, the most progressed generator gets blocked for 30 seconds. So you don't even have to think about this perk. It's literally great. It works on anyone, and it's great for slowing down the game without even thinking about it. And it also gives you a bit of info when a gen gets popped, where you should hesitate, where you should gravitate towards to make sure those gens don't get any more progress. So Deadlock is absolutely insane, and the other perks for this, the Pinhead or Cenobite, are pretty good as well. So maybe you think about picking him up as well. Next up, we have Skillchecks Floods of Rage. Now, this one is really nice. It's a perk from the Oni row, and when you put someone on a Scourge hook and take them off, it is going to show you all other survivors for 7 seconds. Now, this is really good, again, for killers that can move around the map quickly, or if you just want info after a hook so that you can keep snowballing that one hook into another one. It also promotes hook camping, which is really nice. I mean, face camping, I should have said that at the start. So that's why it's really great in my opinion. It'll hopefully just get you one down, and then when they get off the hook, help give you enough information to get on someone or put them down as well. Super nice perk. Pair this with Lethal Pursuer, it's even better. And if you pair this with another Scourge hook perk, it's even better as well. So I really like this perk. Definitely think it deserves probably one of the top 5 positions. All right, next up we have Call of Brine. This perk is absolutely insane right now. I'd say it's top 3. I'm not sure exactly where I'd put it, but I'd definitely say top 3 and definitely top 10. Basically, when you kick a gen, it's going to instantly start regressing at 200% of normal regression speed. So the old ruin, it's going to show you the aura. And when a survivor completes a good skill check, it's going to give you a notification like they failed one. Basically, that's what it looks like on the map. And it's also active for 60 seconds. So 60 seconds at 200% regression is pretty much enough to take a gen from 99% all the way down to around 0 to 10%, I believe, or even 0 most of the time, as long as they don't touch it. And then you don't have to worry about leaving that gen now. You can leave that gen and it'll give you enough info if it's not too close to done, because if it's too close, they might not get a skill check. As long as it's not too close, you'll have enough time to get back over there and prevent them from doing the gen. So if you're in a nasty situation with the last, I don't know, 3 gens or 4 gens being done and one's really close, you can use this, kind of zone them off that generator and maybe bring back the game. So definitely a super good perk. So next up we have Save the Best for Last, which is probably my favorite perk in the entire game. It is not as good on some killers, but it is absolutely insane if you use it correctly, and it feels super nice. Killers like the Demogorgon, the Nemesis, other ones like that where you can get hits with something else on your obsession to prevent taking away the stack. So the Demogorgon, you can shred instead of M1ing and you won't lose any tokens. You can whip instead of M1ing on the Nemesis and you won't lose any tokens. That means you can turn yourself into an M1 god. It feels insane and it's a lot of value. It just feels great to use this perk. It gives you another thing to think about. It almost feels like it's just meant to be on those killers. It just feels so nice. And if you haven't used it yet and you're maining one of those killers where you've got 2 forms of attacking, something like that, then this is the way to go for you. Even if you're not using that, you can just forget about the obsession for a little bit, unless you find them first or last, and then just use that 40% cooldown reduction on your hits and just absolutely go around saving all that time every time you get a hit, and just reducing the distance between you and the survivor every single chase and every single hit. So in my opinion, it's number 1 in my head, but it's definitely deserved its place in the top 10. So there you go. Definitely pick this perk up. It is from the Shape. So if you've been looking at him and you're thinking, oh, is he that good? He's definitely very good to pick up for the Save the Best for Last. Okay, so our final 2 perks are perks that are very high rated and very well used, but I'm about to tell you why I don't like them personally, and why I think maybe you after this might not like them as much. So the first one is No Way Out, and there's a very simple reason why I don't like No Way Out. So No Way Out basically incentivizes you to make it to when the gates open. And personally, I don't like making it when the gates open. You don't want to be thinking about that. I know it's a false safe or whatever you want to call it. Basically, I like to have perks that are going to help me end the game before it gets this late. And, you know, Corrupt Intervention or one of the other info perks throughout the game is just going to feel better. For some people, it's going to do great if you're really struggling and you need some endgame value. Maybe you pair this with No-Ed or the Freddy's perk or something like that to block it. It's still a great perk, but in my opinion, it's not very fun to get to the point where the exit gates are open either. And at that point, I'm just looking to get into the next game. So yeah, in my opinion, No Way Out can be used to clutch up a game really hard, but I like to end the games before then. And that's the simple reason why, in my opinion, I would not run this perk, and I don't run this perk. I might do an end game build and run it then, but for the majority of the time I play this game, this is not one that I like to use, but can still be considered very highly. Next up, we have Thanatophobia, and I see a lot of people running this. Well, while it's a great perk and all that, it only slows down them doing things. It doesn't stop them doing things, if that makes sense to you. I know it got buffed, and I know it's a great perk, and people don't like to do gens when there's 4 stacks of Thanatophobia, but if you just play around this, play in pairs, something like that, you can heal to prevent it, and you do want to heal anyway in most games, other than maybe against a Legion or something like that, or a Plague. But in my opinion, having one of the other perks like Deadlock, Corrupt Intervention like that is more beneficial for me. And if you're struggling and you're getting Gen Rush still with Thanatophobia, I'd recommend trying the same. If you're finding it's doing great for you and you can feel the value happening, then by all means, go ahead. But in my opinion, it's just not as strong as the other perks. While still being a great perk and a perk that I love, I wouldn't use Thanatophobia over a few other perks, but there's definitely some nice builds with it. Pair it with Nurse's Calling, things like that. It can be super strong. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for my top 10 perks. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy. I spent a lot of time on this video and all the other videos, and I thank you for all the support lately. We're really pushing for that 1,000 subs, and I'll see you all then in the next one. Peace, guys.